Nintendo's amiibo figures look great as they are, but customizing is a way of making them even more special. I'm TJ, and it's my mission to make the map that removes the mystery from amiibo to help you chart the course to conquer your favorite custom challenges and achieve the unique and personalized amiibo you always wanted. Let me make the mistakes so you don't have to.
Somebody call for a hero? Who even watches this show?
That's me, TJ, and Dark TJ. They'll be popping up from time to time to offer some tips, tricks, and helpful hints.
Don't listen to anything this guy has to say. He has no idea what he's doing.
Or not so helpful. It's dangerous to go alone, so come with us and we'll conquer this custom together. Welcome to Custom Conquest. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. This episode of Custom Conquest, we're going to be continuing our Legend of Zelda themed custom amiibo. And this one, we've got something from a little game on the 3DS called A Link Between Worlds.
This is the game where Link proves his heroics are multi-dimensional. I'll tell you what, the flattest thing about that painted punk is his personality.
Yeah, so this one was painted before we even got here. And I really wanted to do a custom that we built from scratch. We're gonna use none of the figure, just the base and the NFC chip, and it's something that we're gonna use only components that we add. But it's also a custom that I designed in a very specific way to enable you that if you follow the procedural steps that we'll outline throughout the course of this episode, you can make one that looks identical to what we produce here on the show. And I know some of you guys have been watching the show and you enjoy it, but you haven't really been ready to just jump in the deep end and get your hands dirty and make one of these things. Well, let me tell you, this is the one. So maybe you're out there thinking, I'm not that artistic, I don't really have any of these skills, I'm not a very good painter, and I can't be trusted with sharp objects. Well, this is the custom that you can handle. And at the end of it, you too will attain victory in your very own custom conquest. Let's get started.
So let's measure this custom on the Custom Conquest difficulty scale. I'm gonna rate this guy a 2, but don't be deceived. Even though it is a paint by number, you're still gonna have to use some legitimate customizing skills. But this is one where seriously, no matter what your level of artistic ability is, I can walk you through this one step by step. Just don't ask me to hold your hand. Now let's go over the items that we need to complete this quest, starting with the components, which includes the figures, pieces, and parts. The first item on the list is a Link or a Toon Link amiibo. Either one of them will work. Next up, we're going to need 19 2x2 Lego bricks. It doesn't matter what color they are, but by utilizing such a standard unit of measurement, I can ensure that your custom is going to be the exact same scale as mine. Which brings me to the next item on the list, a custom vinyl sticker. The thing about vinyl stickers are they're essentially plastic, so they're extremely durable, water, weather resistant, they're very hard to tear or damage. So if you're not that confident in your painting skills, you'll still come out on the other side with a really polished look. And finally, and I'll add this as somewhat of an optional detail, some wire foliage branches. This is the one I used. I picked it up from Hobby Lobby. There's a lot of different shades, so maybe if you're so inclined, you can mix and match. Or if you prefer a more maintained look, maybe you skip the mossy vines altogether. Guess the low-roll landscaper got fired. Now let's take a look at the equipment we used, which includes the tools and supplies. The first item I want to mention is a hand drill. Not easy to find from a hardware store, but an easy pickup from Amazon. Next up, you're going to want some kind of strong, flat piece of metal, like a butter knife or an X-acto knife, perhaps, to pry into the base of your amiibo figure. We're also going to use some sculpting putty and sandpaper. I used Milliput, but don't worry, we're not trying to do anything terribly complex or overly artistic here. We'll just patch in a few holes. And the application of the sandpaper is to, well, to sand. It's pretty obvious, really. Next up, we are going to use some paint. For this, I used Vallejo model color, and you are going to need something to apply it, like a brush or a sponge. Again, it has a very low level of precision, so just about anything will do. And for this one, I'm going to recommend a sealer. I used Mod Podge Matte. I'm also going to mention gold spray paint here because I did use it for my base. And the final item on the list, a flathead screw with the corresponding screwdriver. Now let's see how all these pieces come together. Alright, now let's outline the game plan. To start out, we're going to use either that Link or the Toon Link. The specific Link featured in A Link Between Worlds doesn't categorically align with either Link or Toon Link exactly, and from an art standpoint, he falls kind of somewhere in the middle. So when determining which amiibo to use, it all comes down to which one you personally prefer your painted Link to function as. For the wall itself, we're going to construct it the old-fashioned way out of some classic Lego bricks. Now there's a few reasons why I went with these, because essentially the wall could be made out of anything. You can sculpt the bricks out of clay, you can handpick some real rocks from your backyard, it honestly doesn't matter. But the main reason why I went with Lego bricks is, well, you! I wanted to build these out of a material that I knew most people would have access to. They're a pretty fun and easy material to work with, and most importantly, I conformed all the artwork to correspond with this particular scale of brick. So any assets that I've created for this custom will work just as well for you. That's awesome! You're welcome! Once the wall's constructed, all that's really left to do is to slap on the sticker. Now I'm sure it won't surprise you to know there's a little more to it than that, but that's the gist of it, so let's go build a wall. Alright, time to put this guy together. The first thing I want to do is take my Link or Toon Link amiibo and separate him from the base. To do that, I'm going to drop them into some boiling water for about 30 seconds to a minute. When I pluck them out, they should be nice and rubbery, and it's pretty easy to just pull them right off. You're not going to need either figure, but don't lose them. If you're anything like me, I'm sure we can find a good use for them on a future custom. Now that the figure's out of the way, let's pop open this base. I like to use a butter knife because it's thin and durable. Just carefully wedge it in between the gold platform and the black outer portion of the base, and carefully apply some pressure. If you get lucky, it'll pop right out.
Or more likely, you got one that's permanently bonded with gallons of industrial grade gunk. Good luck.
Yeah, some of them are pretty snug. The best advice I could give you is just to be patient and careful. And for this particular one, if the gold platform bends for you a little bit, that's okay. We'll be able to reconcile that a little bit later with some sanding. Once you've separated the three components of the base, the gold platform, the NFC chip, and the black portion of the base, we can set about customizing that to match the rest of the custom Zelda line. I'm going to spray paint that black portion gold, and I'm going to sand down the gold platform until it's completely flat and smooth. Then I'm going to apply the custom vinyl sticker that I made with the pattern that matches the base of the Zelda series. We can set those pieces aside for now and set to work on building Link's wall. Brick by brick, baby! My inspiration for the wall design on this custom came from 3 different sources, one of which being an image which depicted Link standing next to himself painted on the wall. The wall had obviously seen better days and it was a little bit broken down. Then there's another piece of art which features a rectangular wall with this lush green vegetation growing around it. And then there were these images circulating online of an unreleased 3DS charging cradle, and I just thought it looked super awesome. So we may not be able to get that, but at least we can make a custom amiibo that resembles it. I found myself really drawn to the jagged wall design. Drawn! Good one! But I think the final detail of the vines really contributes a lot to the overall aesthetic. What I ultimately settled on is a combination of my favorite aspects from each image. I want to start by saying you can build this wall into any pattern that you want. You can use any material that you want. You certainly don't have to do it the way I did it, because frankly the possibilities are endless. But for the purposes of streamlining the process, I'm going to outline exactly how I did it. That way if you happen to want one that looks exactly like mine, all you have to do is follow along. So let's take a look at the wall's construction. We've got 3 bricks for the bottom row. That's the one that's actually going to be contacting the platform of the base. The wall above that has 4 pieces. The next level has 3 as well, and they should be aligned directly above your bottom layer. The next layer we use 4 bricks, and that should match your second layer. For the one above that, we're back to 3 bricks, and then the top level has 2 bricks, bringing us to a total of 19. To help link this wall together, each brick is locked in place by the corresponding block above it in an alternating pattern. The top of each one of these 2x2 Lego bricks have 4 little tabs, we'll call them. Most of them are concealed because they're what's actually holding the bricks together, but there are some on the edges that are still sticking out. We got a couple options for removal. You can sand them off with your sandpaper,
Or if you're impatient like me, you can slice them off with your X-acto knife.
they come off pretty easily. The X-acto Knife is a pretty good place to start, but if for whatever reason you're afraid of sharp objects, the sandpaper is still a totally viable option. For 6 of the bricks, you're just going to remove 2 of those little tabs. It doesn't really matter specifically which ones you use. You can't really mess it up unless for some reason you do it on the diagonal, so don't do that. Otherwise you should be fine. The only ones where you need to remove all 4 tabs are for the 2 bricks at the top. Once you've got the desired tabs removed, you may find that there are some holes where the tabs used to be. And then of course there's also the opening at the bottom where the Lego pieces ordinarily connect together. So what we're going to do is use some air dry sculpting putty. I'm going to use the 2-part Apoxie Milliput for this. I'm just going to twist these 2 parts together until they form an even color, and then basically I'm going to use it just like wet cement and fill in all the holes. Honestly, this portion of the process doesn't require any precision. Just make sure you've adequately filled in the holes. The other brick I want to call your attention to is the bottom center. Since we're going to use this brick to attach it to the base, it's going to give our screw a little bit more to grab, so for the purposes of security, I recommend you fill that one up too. Make sure to give your sculpting putty some time to set, and now to sand it down a little bit. For this I used a really rough sandpaper because Milliput is super hard and super strong, so the rough grain allowed me to chew through it really quickly. And because brick walls are usually pretty rough, it's okay, and you can leave it like that. Once you've got it ground down to your satisfaction, you may want to hit it again with a finer grain just to smooth it out a little, and while you're at it, it wouldn't hurt to scuff up the other bricks either. Now one thing I figured out pretty late in the process is, while the Lego pieces do fit together pretty tightly, during some of my more aggressive sanding sessions, they did pull apart on me. If you find yourself having that problem, don't worry, it's nothing that can't be solved with a little bit of Craggle. I think he means super glue.
It's from the Lego movie, you Nintendork.
The next thing I want to do is prime the wall. This will mute all the vibrant colors of the Legos, and it also give my paint something to stick to. Now there's a couple different ways we can approach this next portion. If you're an artist and you really like painting, bricks can be a lot of fun, especially in this case because there's really no wrong way to do it. Since in addition to Link being painted on the wall itself can be painted. If you prefer to put your artistic skills to use and paint your bricks, or you can paint Link directly on there for that matter, by all means go right ahead. Don't forget to send us a picture if you do. But for those of you who aren't crazy about the idea of painting, here's where the custom vinyl sticker comes in. You'll notice how the pattern of the bricks on the stickers perfectly corresponds to the alignment of the bricks on the wall that we've built. So all we have to do is trim the bricks out and stick them right to the front of our wall. I designed the wall to be symmetrical so that we can actually apply a sticker to both sides. That way, no matter which side of the wall we're looking at, we're also looking at Link. If any part of your vinyl sticker's hanging over the edges, that's totally fine. Just trim it down a little bit with your X-acto knife. Then we're going to have to go about integrating the sticker into the bricks. Now, as long as you didn't cut yourself with that X-acto knife earlier, getting to this point should have been pretty pain-free. But to integrate our sticker into the wall, we are going to need to apply a little bit of paint. Look for a sandstone or a light brown. I actually just used white and then added a tiny dab of leather brown, and it gave me a shade pretty close to the wall. We're going to use that to conceal the top and the sides. After we've got that base layer down, let's go about adding a little bit of texture. There's a couple ways you could do this. You can trim just an ordinary kitchen sponge down to size, dip it in your paint, dab it on a paper towel until it's mostly dry. You can use a darker shade to sponge on some shadows or textures, and if you want some highlights, just choose a shade that's lighter than your base. You can of course achieve the same thing with a little bit of dry brushing. And the final step is to do some edging. I'm going to use a basic brown tone, and then I'm just going to outline my edges a little bit. I'm going to use kind of a rough hand, and I do want the paint to spill a little bit onto my sticker. That'll go a long way into integrating the two together. And if you feel so inclined, you can add a few accents directly to the sticker. As an added redundancy to make sure the sticker maintains its connection to the bricks, I'm going to slather on some matte Mod Podge sealer. It'll go on white, but when it dries, it's completely clear. While I have no concerns about the durability of the vinyl stickers, in fact, I'd go so far as to say they're probably more durable than the typical amiibo paint job, but how well it sticks is subject to a few variable conditions, such as temperature or humidity, so this added measure is to keep it from peeling up over time. Once this guy dries, we can connect him right back to the base. Now, if you chose to use the Link amiibo, this is going to be slightly easier than Toon Link. Link has this perfect circle directly in the center of the platform portion of his base, and the same is true of a 2x2 Lego piece, so you know exactly where to connect these guys. The Toon Link, however, has a reinforced center where his support stand is, so it makes a little bit more sense to offset it. This shouldn't really be a problem, you just have to be a little bit more careful when you align it to the base. I'm going to use a pair of needle nose pliers to pull away any panels of plastic that I think might obstruct the final position of my screw, and then I'm going to use my hand drill to create a hole in the platform as well as in the bottom of my wall. Then I'm going to use my flathead screw to lock Link to the platform. And if you like the look of this, congratulations, you're done! But if you want to add that last detail of some mossy overgrowth, here's how I went about it. This foliage that I use is on a flexible wire, so you can pretty much bend it to any shape that you want. I'm kind of partial to the look of it crawling around the stones, but this is one of those areas where you can just kind of mess around with it, see what looks good to you, and season to taste. The only other thing I'll say about it is I found it a lot easier to work with once I created an anchor point. To do that, I took my hand drill, and I created a small hole at the top.
Wait a second, didn't you just have us fill in those holes?
Yeah, I did, but because of how easy it is to add the hole, I still think this is the better way to do it. That way you can determine for yourself where you think the best source of the foliage is. Add some super glue to the base and reconnect it to your platform. And with that, our Link Between Worlds inspired amiibo joins the adventure.
A lot of energy went into creating the painting of Link on the wall as well as the corresponding bricks. I made absolutely sure that they're going to fit perfectly with this scale of Lego piece. So if you build this with the Lego pieces, these stickers will work for you. I've made the download available for you in the description below. There's a version where the bricks are already there if you assemble it in the pattern that I made it, or you can get one of just Link by himself and you can paint the bricks yourself. We built this bad boy brick by brick, but we also built the box, so let's take a look. If you want this box, all you gotta do is click on the link. Well, not link, oh gosh, this joke will get real tired real quick if we play that all season. Last time I invited you to send in your customs to be featured here on the show, so let's take a look. Thanks to everyone who submitted your artwork. They look amazing. If you want your custom featured here on Custom Conquest, all you have to do is send me a pic by email, customconquest@gmail.com, or tag me at Custom Conquest on Twitter with the hashtag MyCCAmiibo. I really had a lot of fun building this amiibo, and I'm really hoping that some of you guys out there give it a try. If you do, please send me a picture. I'd love to see what you come up with. Next time on Custom Conquest, we're sticking with our Legend of Zelda theme, but let me tell you, the level of difficulty starts to really stack up. You'll see what I mean next time. We'll see you then. Thanks for playing.
Dark side out.
We sure are having fun making all these Zelda customs, but we're also really excited about the new 30th anniversary and the Breath of the Wild amiibo coming out soon. Which one are you most excited for? Bye now.